So we're going to begin talking today. This is Lesson 2, Session 1. And if you kind of don't follow the drift there, Lesson 2 means it's the second week out of 12. Session 1 means it's the first hour. Session 2, the second hour. Session 3, the third hour. And this is Level 1. The way we broke this up, we chose to do this intentionally, is that every 4 months you will complete the equivalent of one certificate. So in the period of a year, you will have earned 3 certificates. So what happens there is that you go from Level 1 to Level 2 to Level 3. And then, of course, when you finish that, then we're giving you the big certificate, the nice one for completing the whole year. And it's an advanced, the whole deal. So you can see by that, you're going to get a lot of information and a lot of studying. We're going to talk about core skills. Core skills in professional Christian life coaching. So we'll begin by this introduction I wrote here. Like any profession, coaching requires some skills. Skills that if you don't have can be developed with little effort and confidence in yourself. The beauty of this is anybody can become a professional Christian life coach. Not by just adding a title to your name, but by getting some help, learning and studying and doing what you're doing. It's very, very doable. You may say now, I'm not really sure how it's all coming together yet to fit what you personally want to do with it, but you will see as we go along, okay? Because it'll all begin to mesh together. And then towards the end, we're going to focus on a couple specialties. And obviously, we can't go into full depth of those, but I want to give you an idea towards the end of the year of areas you can branch into. And I would say this to you, specialties are important. Because just like Dr. Denise, her doctorate is in a special area, a needy area, an area that people are seeking and looking for help. What it does is it causes her name to become attached with her specialty. And so people begin to seek that out. So over the period of the year, right now we're just talking general life coaching. But as we get down towards the end, we're going to look more at some specifics as far as specialties. You can always do general life coaching, and a lot of people do that. But you can also choose 2 or 3 specialties. I think probably most people have a primary specialty that's just their passion, and that's where most of their clients come from. But usually they'll have a couple other areas that they're pretty well versed in, that they can do a good job in. Occasionally you'll run across somebody that's just full blown and their head's in a book all the time. They're studying and preparing and they're just taking clients of any kind. So that's kind of where we're at. So some of those skills include being able to build relationships. How many of you think you're a relationship builder? It's okay if you don't raise your hand because we're not all natural in that way. But it's a skill that can be learned. Amen? Okay? What about communication? Do you feel like you're a good communicator? Can you talk to just about anybody? When you talk to people, do you feel like you're getting your message across? Do you feel like when someone's talking to you that you're able to understand what they're communicating most of the time? Some people have such bad communication skills, it's not our fault. You know what I mean? The question is that you're not that person, are you? If you are, this lesson will help you, or at least this year will help you. We also want to know how to connect with the client and assure them of our trust and confidence. Connecting with the client means that when they come in, they feel warmth. They feel comfortable in your presence. They're able to let the walls down and open up, and you're able to bond in a way that they can receive what you have to share with them. But remember, in professional Christian coaching, the real objective is that the agenda is in the hands of the client. So they're going to determine, with your help by asking questions, they're going to determine what it is they want to talk about, what it is they want to achieve, what they want to accomplish. So that's important. And then they want to feel like that you have the ability to help them. And that's where we call confidence. And I can say to you what you've always heard, the old cliche or adage, information builds confidence, right? And that is so true. When you finish this year, you should have enough information that you should feel totally comfortable reaching out to people and making available what you have to offer, and so much so that you're going to be passionate about it and you're going to believe in it, and you're not even going to be afraid to say, hey, I want to help you, and ask them, can I? That's important. It's like anything you do in life, sometimes you have to close the deal, amen? And closing the deal means you have to get people to make a decision and say yes. Because a lot of people have a lot of reasons why they're not sure. And once they make the decision, then they're totally at peace about it and they're excited about it. And so you have to help some of them come to that point. So coaches need to be self-aware and recognize their own personality, style, in order to create a balanced atmosphere. Do you know what your temperament is? Do you know what your style is? Are you aware of how you come across to other people? We're going to talk about some of these things today, and hopefully you'll be able to pinpoint yourself. We passed out a few tools last month, and so maybe from some of that you've thought about it, but we're going to nail it down more today as far as personality, temperament, styles, because it's important to know that your temperament plays into the whole scenario, but also the temperament of the client is important. And some temperaments just blend and fit together beautifully, and some temperaments go like this. They just clash. It's not that there's anything wrong with having the temperament that you or they do. It's just the fact that we need to be knowledgeable and understand how and why and what's going on. And then we'll be more able to be cautious and watch what we say and how we do. Even though it may be a little unnatural for us, sometimes skills and knowledge helps us smooth off the rough edges, which may not bother someone else that's like you, but it might bother someone else whose temperament is different than yours. So these are just important things. So in this session, we're going to talk about developing core skills, building rapport, listening, and other ground level techniques. Now these things are going to help you in ministry. These are going to help you in your businesses, in your life, in your church ministry, whatever you do. The things that we are teaching this year are going to benefit you in every way. So you're going to get more than what you bargained for, amen? Okay. The first thing that we want to talk about are goals to establish in the coaching-client relationship. So this is sort of on the business end, okay? Just a little bit. You want to establish trust. Trust is gained with professionalism and compassion. Professionalism says that you know what you're doing and what you are doing to protect everyone involved. Now, this is important, especially for Christians. It includes, but it's not limited to, some of the following: ethics, which, you know, when you get under the topic of ethics, you can throw all kinds of things in there, like character and integrity, right? Respecting people's privacy, confidentiality. There's so many things that come under ethics. Are you being fair and just with them? And are you abiding by the expectations of what a coach is? Policies. Policies are important. I know we all hate paperwork. We all hate rules and laws and guidelines. You don't have to make it hard. It doesn't have to be painful, but you need policies. People need to know what to expect, and they want to know. They want to understand, what am I really getting into here when I agree to this? Which includes policies, procedures, kind of comes under that. Informed consent. You want to make sure that someone is agreeing to what they are entering into. And then some other types of forms and things that you will have for people. Did you all get the additional attachment with all the forms? You got that? It came with your email? With your study guide? Okay. You know, you can open those up in your Word and put your own name and stuff in them. Your own ministry or name or whatever. So so there are all kinds of forms. Don't panic. You don't use all those forms in one session. You don't even have to ever use some of those forms. They're just there for you as we go along, for you to use as tools to help do a good job. And I'll tell you what else. When you present simple tools like that, forms, it says to your client that you've been trained. It says you know how to use assessments. It says that you have something beyond just, hey, I just thought I'd charge you some money to sit down and have a talk, But it shows that you're really investigating where they are, and you want to help them move into the place or the direction that they want to go in life. Amen. And then confidentiality protocol. People want to know that what they say to you stays with you. between the two of you, amen. And they also want to know that you're not going to give away information. So you're going to need some protocol there, in the sense of you won't release information to anyone but who they, by signature, tell you. You know, the world's a funny place today. Some of it's for our good and some of it's just annoying. But we have to work with it, whatever it is. It's just like we have students that frequently call and want a transcript. And then some of them get frustrated with us because we say that you have to go on the website, download the form, fill out the form. You have to sign it personally. And then you have to put a copy of your driver's license and send all that to us. That's what the law requires. We cannot release a transcript without a signature by the person and a copy of their ID. If it was up to us, we'd send you 100 of them. We don't care, it's just hitting a button on the computer. But that's not what the law says. And so, but boy, some people get upset. Well, can't you just send me one? I'm just going to look at it myself. It doesn't matter. If it leaves our office, we have to do it. We can't release any records or anything to anybody. Sometimes people will say, can I just have the employer call and verify, something about my degree and everything? We can acknowledge that you attended the seminary and you earned a degree. That's all we can tell them. We can't, without your written permission, we can't give them grades. We can't tell them about your attendance or anything. And that's what employers are looking for a lot of times. They want to know, how well did you apply yourselves? Grades reveal that, right? They want to know, did you come to class, In other words, so that's what they're usually looking for, is things we don't even think they're looking for. But we can't give them that information. And you're going to be in the same position. They're going to be certain. They're just going to, mostly anything someone wants to ask, if it's not the person or they haven't given permission in writing, we can't give it away, or you can't give it away. Okay. So you're going to establish trust. You're going to implement these different things, and then you're going to be able to provide these documents, agreements. You're going to go over fees, procedures, and things like that up front. I know it seems uncomfortable, but if you're going to do this as a profession, then you need to be a professional. And generally, what you have to do is just let people know, just like you do in your regular businesses. Okay, now there is a fee involved, however you want to word that. And actually, what's so good about the course, as we get further into it, we're going to get into some of the nitty gritty of the things we just mentioned, and we're going to talk about how to mention fees. We're going to talk about, give you some examples of forms and things like that. So this will get more in detail later in the year. So you want to clarify the boundaries all around. And then you want to clarify your role as a coach. Because coaching is really not that new, but it's new to a whole lot of people. In the past, as we studied in the first session, coaching was known to executives, professionals. It's real common in those fields and has been since the 70s. But people that are not in those types of careers and positions really haven't had much contact with the aspect of coaching until the last few years. It's become so popular and so prevalent. And that's one of the reasons why there's such a wide open door for you to have clients. And it's such a big thing now. I don't know about you, but any topic that, on Facebook you know this, any topic that you look at, if you look at cars, if you look at dresses, ladies, then from then on they just bombard you with ads, right? Well, because I'm always advertising Integrity Seminary, I get all kinds of ads from seminaries and Bible colleges, and now I'm getting all kinds of ads from coaching organizations. And I notice everything from a $25 certificate in coaching to, well, I think the highest I've seen is $3,600. Okay, so we're about in the middle. But the thing is that people are out there now and they are reaching for customers. They're reaching for clients. And of course, everybody's offering training now, But you know as well as I do that typically you get what you pay for. In most cases. That's what sets Christians apart as professional coaches, is that we give our best in everything we do, no matter what the agreement is. And I used to teach my children when they were growing up, they'd go to get a job at the chicken joint or Walmart, and come home and after a day or two, they're not paying me enough for the hard work I'm doing. I'm like, and I would tell my boys, I have 4 boys, I say, son, you entered into a covenant. When you took that job, you understood what they were going to pay you. And you understood that from the time you clock in to the time you clock out, you are moving and working as hard as you can with as much integrity and character to benefit the employer. And I said, and whatever they said they would pay you, they get 100% of you during the time that you were there. Of course, my kids didn't smoke or anything, but I tell them, I say, no cigarette breaks. In other words, they got the point because everybody, half the others on the job were taking cigarette breaks every half hour. You know what I'm saying? I tell them no cigarette breaks, no telephone calls, and fortunately for my 3 older boys, this is before cell phones really got popular. But anyway, of course, those are issues of integrity and character. We're saying as Christians, my divided attention is set to you. As a coach, you don't want to have a phone sitting on your desk. I mean, it's fine if it's sitting there, but it's going off every 5 minutes and you're over here, texting people while you're listening to them. Do you know what the first thought is in their mind? He ain't listening to me. I'm paying a lot of money for him to talk to somebody else. That's what they're going to think. I'm just telling you. And so what's the next thing they're going to do? They're going to decide whether they want to continue with you or whether they want to move on to some other coach or something. So there's little things like this that really clarify who we are and we establish boundaries for ourselves as a coach, also boundaries for the client. If I am faithful to an appointment and I'm sitting there waiting 5 or 10 minutes before and the client is 15 minutes late, then I can say something about that. But if I was 15 minutes late last month and the client was sitting waiting on me, guess what? I can't say a word about that. How many of you hear what I'm saying? So what happens? Boundaries. And so we make all these things clear because it's business, guys. And the truth is that good business makes good relationships. Okay. When I leased this building, I didn't lease it. Well, we were renting it to 2 churches. And the funny thing is I won't go into a lot of detail. The church that's remaining is still coming and renting our building to have church here have just been wonderful. The other one that's no longer here is what's funny about it is I didn't even mention this, to the second guy, and he's just awesome. But to the first one, I actually said, when we were covering all the details, I said, he said, oh, don't worry about this, don't worry about that, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I said, no. I said, business makes good relationships. And I said, I am first interested in being in relationship with you as a brother in the Lord and a fellow pastor. And if we have all the details in order and all the boundaries are established and you know what to expect and I know what to expect, that's called good business. And you know what it does? It makes good relationships. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Isn't it aggravating when a Christian person has agreed to do something and they don't do their part? Anyway, that person's gone, and we extended much grace to them, but they didn't abide by the rules, And I won't say that we didn't part in a bad way, but we don't talk anymore. How many of you know what I'm talking about? We didn't argue. He even expressed how graceful and merciful we were. I mean, it's on my phone. He made it clear. But we've never had contact since. You know what happened? It really destroyed a good relationship. And it's not necessary to be that way. So here's what's important. Do you know who you are? And do you know what you have to offer and what you have to give? Remember this much right here. You're not a professional counselor. You're not a professional therapist or an expert. Okay? You're a coach. And there is a distinct difference legally as to what these things are. Now, you can attach Christian to the front of any of these or biblical, and you can be legal even in these areas, okay? But I'm just telling you, when clients come to you, relax, because you can tell them right up front, no, I'm a coach. I am a professional coach. I am here to help you in the area that coaching offers, which is moving forward in life, getting beyond being stuck, achieving goals, becoming who Christ created you to be, and a lot of other things. But if it comes to counseling, if it comes to therapy, I'm not here to help you with the past. I'm not here to minister to you. Even if you're a pastor, you tell them, say, you're not paying me to minister to you because of your wounds and your hurts. You need to go get someone else to do that, or you need to call and make an appointment with me as a pastor. Okay? You separate the two, because if you don't, before long, there's a lot of confusion, and you can actually get accused of practicing and doing things that you really never set out to do. So just make it clear who you are. I'm a professional coach. Professional coaching does not require any type of legal licensing or anything like that, okay? At least not yet. And if it's like a lot of other things, if you get in it now and you get some certification, if it ever does go that way, you're liable to get grandfathered in, probably. That's usually the way they do some things. So you kind of have to evaluate it. But the definition of trust is reliance on the integrity, strength, ability, surety, and so forth of a person or a thing. It's confidence. So you want your client to really believe that you can help them. And if you don't know them personally, which a lot of them you will, and they'll already have that sense about you. That's why they contacted you for help. But if you don't, if you decide you're going to run Facebook ads, or you're going to get in the yellow pages, or do they do that anymore? I don't know. But anyway, and someone calls you, then you're going to have to build confidence in their mind concerning your ability to help them. And these things right here are what they want to hear. They want to know that they can be trusted, that you can be trusted. They want to know that you have integrity, that you're a strong person, that you're able to do this, and they want to know they're going to get what they're bargaining for. It's no different than somebody coming to Dr. Denise or to Brother Keith. People are going to invest something, and they're going to put their effort into it. Can you help me? The only person that can really answer that question is going to be you. Definition of trust, we covered that. We said it's confident expectation of something. Colossians 1:27 says that Christ in us is the hope of glory. And the word hope there actually in the Greek means confident expectation. So, Christ in us. What is Christ in us? It's godly character. Amen. It's Jesus living in us and through us, right? Amen. Confidence. They want to know they're going to receive something or get something for what they're doing. Okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to form a connection. And you can often do this on the telephone with the initial contact if it hasn't happened. But Stoltzfus says coaching relationships are extraordinary, influential, life-changing partnerships. In coaching, you don't take the exalted position you do in counseling. In counseling, and because my degree is one of my degrees is in counseling, you take a position of, I'm the professional, I am sitting here, and you are here, and you have needs, and I am the person who can rescue you. In coaching, you take a peer-to-peer type of approach. In other words, you want to appear confident and capable and everything, but at the same time, you want them to feel a connection. You want them to feel like they can relate to you. Okay? In counseling, it's all about the counselor deciding what we're going to talk about and how we're going to approach it and what we're going to do in your life to help you. But in coaching, it's just the opposite. Okay? So you build that relationship. You make that connection. We initiate the connection by offering ourselves to serve and motivate our client in genuine ways. In other words, how can I help you this morning? What are your initial thoughts? Since this is our first time together. Just some questions that you can ask them. What would you like to talk about? Well, the women are going to love this. What would you like to talk about? That's why a lot of women go into coaching, is because women are good at this. The only problem is that coaching is not about the coach doing all the talking. It's more about the client doing the talking. So on that side, guys, fare well. But we all work at it, don't we? So if we are relationally unhealthy, we will struggle to build healthy relationships with our clients. And I made up this little acronym here. I called it the bridge to a coaching connection. The bridge to a coaching connection. So I just made a little, I think called an acronym with the word bridge. I said, be yourself, okay? Don't put on airs. Don't take the professional, exalted position with them. But be yourself. Reach out. In other words, don't be afraid to make the first move. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself first and offer some probing questions. That's what you do as a coach. Okay? So what I mean by probing is what do you have on your mind this morning? In other words, you're going to, as we go along, we'll be giving you sample questions, and you'll get some ideas. Identify with them. Find something that the two of you like in common. Begin to relate. When they begin to share their situation, both of where they're at, why they're stuck, or why they think they're stuck, and where they want to go in life and what they want to accomplish, then identify with them. In your mind, think about your story. Think about your past and where you've been and say, I've been in a similar place than where you are today, and we can help you. Be positive in what you have to share, in what you state. Because I'm going to tell you what, Laurie and I were in the restaurant business for many years. And we owned several restaurants. Well, we owned 2 at one time. Well, anyway, we've been in the restaurant business. And we also I worked for restaurant chains in management back in our early days. And one fact is that a customer satisfaction with their meal, 80% of it is presentation. Not how good it tastes, not the quality of the food. 80% of it's presentation. When they set the plate down in front of you, what's the first thing that goes through your mind? You decide 80% of your decision, whether you're going to like this meal or not, is based upon what it looks like. If there's grease smeared all over the plate, they ain't going to like it. If it's just food's plopped on the plate, they're not going to like it. But if you portion it nicely, you set it up neatly, and maybe take an orange slice and twist it and throw it on there, or a piece of parsley, it's amazing how your customers look at it and they go, oh, that looks good. Shoot, man, they're already enjoying it. They walk out of there and they're loving it because the presentation was good. You can take the same meal, give it to another guy at another table, and leave off the parsley or the orange slice and just kind of slop the food on there. Same food, and he leaves and he says, it was okay. Okay? So it's real important. And always remember this too. 10 people that love you, only one will talk about you. 10 people that don't like you, 9 of them will talk about you. Okay. So that's true too. So you reach out, you identify with them, don't criticize. Our job as coaches is not to criticize or bring people down. It's not even our job to judge them or to try to shock them into reality by some startling statement about their life. No, our job is to let them come to these conclusions if they're necessary to be brought to. You want them to say, you know what? Everything you're saying is making me think maybe I'm part of the problem. And you don't say anything, you just smile. And then the next thing you might say is, well, what do you think would be a good way to help alleviate that problem? You see what we're doing? We're coaching here. Don't say, well, I've been waiting for you to finally figure that out. Now let me tell you what you need to do to straighten up. No, that's not coaching. What that does typically is it drives people away. Amen. Be genuine. And encourage them. Encourage people. You can encourage anybody somehow. All right? You don't lie to them. In other words, you don't tell them you can do this and when you know they can't. You don't tell them that it's going to be okay when you know their life's fixing to crash. No, but you find things in their life that can be encouraged. And you point out their strengths. And then you can help them come up with solutions that will help them overcome or avoid that disaster or overcome that situation or problem, right? So let's try a simple test here to see if you could improve in this area. And we're talking about healthy relationships right here in this particular place here. You see where it says, how healthy are you relationally? You don't have to do this out loud, but just in your mind or maybe with your pencil. Just take, I'll read them and you just circle yes or no, okay? I'm confident with the state of my relationships right now. Yes or no? Number 2, if I got hurt or upset, I can think of at least 3 friends I could pick up the phone and talk to about it right now. Number 3, I have at least one really close friend, a soulmate, that I can share anything with. This is in addition to your spouse. I hope you can do that with your spouse if you're married. Okay. The next one, I have a wonderful formal relationship with a coach, mentor, or peer mentor in my life that helps me grow. Next one, I have someone I can talk to regularly to hold me accountable for basic personal holiness issues. Next one, my home is a peaceful, healthy, respectful environment. We don't fight, tear each other down, or snipe at each other. How do you snipe? Okay, I got it now. All right, next one. I have a good relationship with my parents. I can't think of anywhere I'm carrying anger or a grudge inside me toward another person. I do things with people from work outside of the office or whatever your field is that you work in. We have more than just professional relationships. In the last 2 weeks, I had a conversation with someone where they opened up and became very transparent with me. And then here's the last one. I have a healthy social life with people I can hang out, relax, and recharge with. Okay, so you see the scoring down there. There's really no right score as far as this goes. But what it does, it helps you to see kind of where you are from an honest perspective. And then the challenge is to see what you could do to improve. Okay, and then write it down. And this is important in coaching other people. You have to get people to actually do the assessments, to actually answer the questions. And so you can make this clear up front. We won't be able to help you if you're not going to cooperate. Because some people, they immediately go, well, that's too personal. I don't want you to know about it. Well, what are you doing here? That's like telling the medical doctor when he says, well, point to where the pain is. I see that you're about to die. Where's the pain? That's personal. You know, so you clear some of these things up in the very beginning. If we're going to be able to really, really accomplish some things here, you're going to need to really be willing to, look inside and be honest with yourself. And sometimes the coach doesn't even need to know the answer, but they need to be willing to, with themselves, answer it honestly. And then they need to be willing to make a commitment. Like, you could just make a simple commitment on here. They could just say, okay, they could say, I had 6 of these and 6 of these. 6 yeses and 6 nos. All right, would you be willing to make a commitment to do your best this week to try to work on making that 7 positives? All you're asking them to do is change one thing. But for some people, that's going to be hard. However, that's what coaches do. The whole point is that they want to go forward in their lives and they're stuck. Most people already know the reason they're stuck is because there are internal, emotional issues in their life, or even sometimes it could be, mental health issues, which, you really can't help with those. You're going to have to say, I need to refer you to someone, okay? But spiritual issues you can help them with. If you're doing executive coaching, then you're going to be able to help them. Because basically the principles behind coaching apply to any area. As far as getting people to move forward, okay? Because most things is really about making choices, devising a plan, committing to the plan, and then beginning to proceed. As a coach, you don't fix people the first time they come, but you help them start moving in that direction. It's a process that they're going to walk out, okay? And so they've got to be willing to, say, hey, I'm going to agree to this many times. And typically, what you would do as a coach, and we're going to go over all this more in detail later, but is that you would just say to them, okay, after our first session, and your first session normally is going to be 15 or 20 minutes. It's getting acquainted. It's letting them see that you are confident. They can trust you, all these kinds of things. And then you're going to say, would you allow me to help you? In other words, you can figure out your own method of presenting. They say yes, then the next thing you want to say is to say, well, then there's some paperwork we need to fill out. And there is a fee involved in this. And then you, through that first 20 minutes or so, you are evaluating them. You're in your mind, you're just looking at where they're at, and you're getting a general idea of what you think it might take. For some people, you might say, I really believe we can accomplish this goal for you or these goals for you in 3 sessions. And so you get them to agree and sign up for 3 sessions. Tell them how much each session is going to cost or how much the package is. Ideally, you want them to pay it all up front. But if you have to, you can let them pay it as they come. I can tell you from personal experience that if you let them pay it as they come, some people will be slow payers, but as long as it's working, they'll usually pay eventually. And so that's between you and your own business principles, because typically we like to help people, we work with people, but that'll be, different people have to do business different. Anyway, you want to try to complete all that up front in the first 20-minute session. Then you're going to move into the sessions. If you feel like it's this pretty complicated situation, got a lot of stuff going on, you might say, let's start, keyword start, with 6 sessions. Okay? So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to spread these 6 sessions out, and you do it what you feel is necessary, but probably you could do 6 sessions and 2 months. Okay, you might want to say 6 months. Again, you got to evaluate the situation. But when I say 6 sessions, I'm thinking of 4 phone calls and 2 face-to-face. Okay, so I would probably do the next face-to-face, the next one face-to-face. We're talking 50 minutes. Don't go over it. Don't go under it. Why? Because you're setting boundaries. You don't want this to turn into a 3-hour counseling session. It's not intended to be that. Okay. Even counselors aren't supposed to do that, but a lot of times they do. They'll go on forever. Sir? 50. Yeah, shoot for 50 minutes and spend 50 minutes in it. What that means is that you want to be prepared before they get there. Because you have devised a plan with them, so you're going to meet with them in the 50 minutes that they come and meet with you. Basically, what you're going to do in that session is you already have an idea from your 20-minute phone call. Y'all still with me? Of where they're wanting to go, what their goals are. You've got a feeling for who they are because you've connected on the phone, okay? You got a good idea. So you're saying we're going to go for, let's just say 6. We're going to go for 6 times, okay? So in the first session, you want to be prepared. I'd go ahead and I would have some homework for them, and which homework basically just supports the decisions and commitments they're going to make. And you don't know exactly what that's going to be until the session is over with, right? Because it's their agenda. They determine these things. But you're going to want to have some forms so that when you're talking in that first session and things begin to come out, then you can say, what would you like to do about this? Okay? And they'll say, well, I'd really like to get beyond this obstacle in my life. Okay? And what do you think it would take to, and I'm using very general statements here, okay? You can be more specific when you get in a situation, because I'm not speaking to a situation, I was just speaking to the air, okay? But you can say, how would you like to approach this? In other words, you get them to bring forth as much information as possible. And then say, okay, what goals? What are the end goals? You get the end goals and you say, write it on your form. In other words, they're holding a form in their hand. Write that on your form. Now let's go backwards and let's talk through it backwards. Okay? So this is the way you approach it. They say, well, I want to pay off my car early. Okay? Okay. And so how much do you owe? I owe $1,200. Okay. For most people, that'd be a dream. But anyway, I owe $1,200. All right. And when would you like to have it paid off? You see what I'm doing? I'm just letting them answer the questions. Well, I'd like to have it paid off in 3 months. Okay. Then, paying off a car is not real personal. Okay. But it is a goal. You're going to have a lot of people who come for financial counseling. They really will. Okay. So let's do this. How would you like to, okay, so you want it 6 months, so we're going to work backwards. What would you like to see in 5 months? What would you like to see? Well, I'd like to know that I only had 1 payment left. You see where we're going here? Okay, what about at 3 months? Where would you like to be? I'd like to have it at least down to $600. You see what we're doing? All we're doing is we're letting them tell us, and then they got the form and they're writing it down. 3 months, $600. Okay, now say, okay, now let's talk forward. Here we are today. You've said that you want to begin starting next month making 2 payments. Okay, let's just say that their car payment is $200 a month. You want to begin next month making 2 payments. Obviously, I'm making this up as we go along. Okay, and they say, I want to make 2 payments starting next month. You say, okay, write that down next month. Okay, and then at 3 months, and hey, Laurie, can you help her get a seat, please? And then here at this point, y'all follow me? So this is kind of the approach that you take. So what are you going to do? You're going to cover all this in that first session. Then you're going to say, all right, now, will you let me hold you accountable? That's important. Josh?
So are we having, like, back to the thing real quick, are we having them write this down, or are we writing this down?
Both. Yeah. If you want, you can use you can just use a recorder. Use your telephone and record it for yourself. Typically for me, and for most people, they would be taking notes. Okay. But yeah, that's a good question. You're taking this stuff down to go in their file, but they're writing it because they're going to be holding themselves accountable. Okay? So now we got the first session. All right, in 2 weeks, you're going to call me. Now, coaching's different from counseling. In counseling, you don't run around after them. Are you doing okay? I mean, in counseling, you run after them. Are you doing okay? Is everything all right? I'm just checking on you. No. In coaching, you are teaching them to achieve and accomplish their own goals. You're teaching them to be responsible. Most people are stuck because they don't have the skills, or they don't have the training or the character or whatever to actually do and accomplish what's in their heart to do. So what you do is you say, okay, in 2 weeks at 3 o'clock, I'm going to be by the phone and you're going to call. And we're going to have our next session, and it's going to be 20, 30 minutes long, something like that. All right? You see what happens? So what are you going to do in that session? You're going to start out by being nice, but then you're going to get right to the point. Okay, you said I could hold you accountable. Hello, you see how much easier that is? So, okay, because, right, they said you could. So how are you doing? Did you make that payment? Did you double it? Yes. Then what are you doing? Then you say, all right, do you feel like that there are any changes that need to be made? They may say, I feel like I can do an extra $25, instead of what I initially planned. Okay, let's do that. In other words, you let them decide, but the big key there is holding them accountable. You give them encouragement. Tell them how awesome that is. Tell them, in other words, you see what I'm saying? So in a nutshell, this is how it works. Then you follow it with another phone call, and then typically for me, I would start the next month off with another 50-minute session, meeting them face to face. Okay. The cool thing about coaching is coaching doesn't have to be done in person. Coaching is real popular being done online. A lot of people, their clients are totally anywhere in the world, and they coach them online right there. You can just do it through email. You can do it through Skype. Or, of course, telephone is a big thing. So there are all kinds of ways and opportunities to do this. Let me give you these three areas here, and then we're going to take a break. 3 key areas that can add immensely to creating a good coach and client relationship. The first one is authenticity, or just being real. Learn to chat with them a bit, get to know them, and allow bonding to take place. The next one is transparency. Transparency is another important one. You share your story and let them share theirs. This will help them to see how you can understand them and relate to them. And typically, a good time to do that is in the first session, when you're getting to know each other, when you're bonding and making that connection. Let them know that you have in your life story similar events and similar things that you have been challenged by, or that you have overcome, or that you have accomplished. What that does is it connects people. Telling their story and people hearing other people's story does more for bonding and connecting people than almost anything. I'm going to tell you that in counseling, one of the key things they tell you when you're going to counsel someone is let them tell their story. Let them tell their story. Let them tell their story. Every time you go back to a good counselor, they want you to tell their story, because it is proven that every time a hurt, broken, wounded person tells their story, it changes. And because they have told it, there's actually things that happen in the brain, chemically, that actually causes them to begin to see their story differently. Okay? And they begin to, with your help and encouragement and direction, they begin to see it so differently that typically after 4 or 5 times of telling their story in a counseling session, the person is They're talking positive about something that was the worst nightmare of their life. They're going, it was bad time, but man, God was there with me. I can't tell you how it was. It was just like, it's amazing now when I look back at it. They don't even realize it. They went from the most horrible place in life to this place to where now this whole horrible issue is just nothing now. Telling your story does incredible things. It's the same in coaching. Listen to their story, and then hopefully you'll have something similar in your life you can tell. And what it does is it encourages them, and it bonds the two of you together, and then confidence and trust is established to move forward. So what are we saying? You have to be a little bit transparent too. And you don't only expect them to be, okay? And then presence. Notice what's going on in the moment. Be there for them. Watch for body language, indicators, or needs. It can be as simple if they look like they're getting choked up like I'm doing this morning. Offer them some water, Be aware at the moment what's going on in the room. If they keep looking at something or looking at the clock, try to discover what it is and somehow relate to it in a way that you can get it off of their mind, People are funny. We know that 55%, I believe it is, it might be higher than that, of all communication is body language. What's happening in their body? If they're sitting like this, we need to work on some trust. You see what I'm saying? But if they're relaxed and just kind of hanging out, you got them. See? That's body language. If they're looking off to the left, watch their eyes. If they're looking off to the left, they're lying to you. Did you know that? Yeah, it's all about the brain. When someone begins to fabricate or create something that's not true, without realizing it, our eyes move to the left. We don't realize it. That's why policemen and investigators sometimes will get up in the face of somebody and go, "You're lying to me." Because they've been trained how to watch body language and how to read eyes and expressions and everything. And they're not always right, by the way. But sometimes they're just trying to, never mind. But anyway, so these are just little indicators, little things. If they feel like they're uncomfortable, if they're cold, can I turn the air up? What you're doing is you're being present in the moment. That's real important. In chaplaincy, let me just show you how this relates. Or in pastoral ministry, we have what's called the ministry of presence. The ministry of presence means that you're really not going to do anything but just be there. You ever noticed in funeral homes how the guys just stand there? The funeral workers? Some of them look a little creepy, but they just kind of stand there and they'll look at you. You ever notice how they intentionally will look at you, and they kind of have a concerned look? That's called the ministry of presence. They've been trained to do that. And you don't realize it, but it's comforting. It makes you sense that there's some professional person here who understands where I'm at and what I'm going through. It's all about making people feel comfortable and settle in a situation. You notice a lot of times in the hospital when there's a crisis going on and the pastor just really don't know what to say, it's better that he don't say anything. Just offer the ministry of presence. Just be there. Don't get up and run out so fast. Just be there for the family. Be there for the patient, the client. Because your presence speaks. Amen? Okay. Back to funerals again. Notice how traditionally, when everything's coming to an end, they're about to go out, what happens? The family comes by and the pastor stands by the casket and shakes hands. Ministry of presence. Okay. In other words, what's happening is it's a tradition, but it's a good tradition. May not mean anything to you if you're just some distant relative or person. You're thinking, "Oh man, do I have to go up there? I'm ready to go." But the family need that because it's just something beyond tradition that happens in that. And this is true with coaching. Coaching means I'm on your side. I'm on your team. I'm here to help you become and be everything God put in you. Your potential is awesome. And if nobody in the world believes in you, I believe in you. And God believes in you. I'm going to tell you, some people...